out that if he gets mobile.
So there we have what looks like a young male leopard on the top of a marula tree. He's got some branches in front of his face. I will move the vehicle in a little bit. Although leopard are supremely comfortable in trees, there is only a one-way up and one-way down, and I'm always a little bit cautious about approaching leopard in trees. I always like to let them tell me about what they're comfortable with. They definitely have moods the same as what we do, and I don't want to make him uncomfortable and make him jump down. Have a look at that fat belly. There's a reason why he's in the tree. It's lying just at the bottom of the base of his tail. That is the leftovers of dinner, it looks like. I'm going to go forward just a little bit. Still 100% comfortable with us. It definitely is a young male leopard. For those of you who are new to the show this morning, leopard have markings, those spots on their face are very similar to fingerprints on a human. And we can actually identify which leopard is which. Because they're territorial, you do see leopard Kunyuma. He's a young male leopard, 2.5 years old. Him and his brother were born at the same time. Leopard have anywhere from they can have anywhere from 1 to 6 babies, but it's usually only one that's brought up to full adulthood, and in rare cases, 2. I've never really seen a leopard bring up more than 2 cubs. It's really difficult for a single mom to find enough food to keep 2 cubs going and to stop them from being preyed upon by a hyena and lion in this reserve. But their mom managed to bring both 2 boys up into the world. They're on the cusp of full adulthood, and a supremely good effort from her. And it aids them in hunting through thick bush. Those whiskers each go into a nerve. And hunting in the dark, hunting in thick bush, those whiskers aid him in slipping through gaps in the bush and enable leopard to really move about incredibly quietly. Big feet. And you notice on these pad there, he's got no visible claws. They have retractable claws. Really sharp, really curved claws. There are 5 claws on the front foot, and that's what you're looking at the moment. You're looking at a front foot, and there are 4 claws on the back foot. Although only 4 toes really register in the sand, the 5th toe is off the ground on the wrist and is called a dew claw. Or on that side of the branch, I should say. We'll move across in a second. Go right ahead. Of even giraffe calves that have been pulled into trees by leopard. I've never seen something that big in a tree before. From this angle, it's impossible to tell what he killed. But I think what I'm going to do is move around to the other side of the tree, because it looks like a more comfortable position for him. And I think that once he relaxes with our presence, like he is at the moment, our view is going to be better from that side. And maybe what we can do is we'll have a better view when we get there. So once again, what I'm going to do is just let him dictate to me what he's comfortable with. We're in his world at the moment, and therefore it's his choice to let us know what he's comfortable with today. So I'm going to be watching him as I change direction here, looking for leopard have a way of draping themselves over a branch that makes the softest bed we have look like sleeping on a bed of rocks. I was able to identify what he had for dinner, and it looks like a steenbok. A steenbok is a small antelope, one of the dwarf antelope that we found out here. And there you can see, I was able to identify it from the white belly and white forelegs and that light tawny colored skin that you can see in the picture. He started to eat at the hindquarters, which is not uncommon for a leopard. They very often start at the back or in the belly cavity of an antelope. And that's because the most nutritious food is inside the antelope, the liver and the hindquarters. And it's also where leopard get a lot of their moisture from. They will drink when water is available, as last night's camera shot at the dam proved, but they don't necessarily need water. They get a lot of their water from the food that they eat. From the tip of Cape Town all the way to the eastern shores of Asia. Stealing his kills by treeing. It's called treeing his kill. Now, almost all leopard are able to tree their kills. However, in my experience, I've seen some leopard who never tree kills and others who tree kills all the time. Kunyuma has got he definitely enjoys treeing his kills, while his brother Quarantine doesn't, as far as I know. And that's all due to experience. A tree like this, here we go. What's he busy doing? Having a good stretch. Have a look at that balance, folks. Leopard can lock their wrists, which enable them to climb trees, and the pads on their feet are also quite rough, which gives them the ability to almost stick to the bark of a tree. Have a look at what he's doing there. Obviously wants some more food, or he just wants to reposition the kill a little bit. He's just making sure that it's not going to fall out of the tree. Have a look at that balance. A leopard are much more agile with lions around. They soon lose interest and move on. Long tongue. I like to put it down to their superior intelligence. I also wouldn't like mouthfuls of hair. Beautiful view of those massive canines. For the bite around the base of the skull or around the throat, which very quickly dispatches prey. A leopard, in terms of brain weight to body volume, have the largest brains of all the cats. A leopard's brain is in fact bigger than a lion's brain and more well developed on the frontal lobe, which is where intelligence lies. So have a So you will notice him pulling at that carcass. He was busy plucking some fur. Welcome. Telling us he's not too comfortable. It's okay, my boy. So that's a typical reaction some leopard have to a camera lens or binoculars, or in fact anybody just making eye contact with them. It's just leopard are very elusive, and they don't enjoy being exposed, and he's now on a tree trunk, exposed. Now you can have a look at how high his kill was. We'll zoom out a little bit more, and you can see that it's in the top branches of larders for leopard. This is a marula tree. Their bark is relatively soft, and their branches are parallel to the ground, which make for nice beds. Now he's climbed out of the trees. He's just in the base of the tree. Quite often when leopard are full, they won't sleep for long periods in a tree. They will feed and then come down. They are exposed in the tree. Their kills are safe in the tree, but if he were to be cornered by some lion in the top of a tree, it would be potentially disastrous. But being on the ground, he gives himself an escape route. And most lion, upon realizing that he was not in the tree but his kill is, they would opt for trying to get his kill and breakfast rather than chasing him through the bush. So it is safer for them on the ground. You'll notice that beautiful coloration, disruptive camouflage, with the help. The nose is outlined in black and a black lip, which you can see there. They're all actually designed to accentuate movements at the their lips, their nose, talking to us as he came down the tree, just letting us know that he didn't appreciate us filming him descending the tree. It's coming back to the camouflage again. Very similar to military camouflage, which is designed to break up the profile. You can see that his coat, the dots and the rosettes that he has on his coat, is there to break up his profile, which is actually how you identify animals. So his coat is designed specifically to break up his profile. And have a look at that shot. You can hardly distinguish his head from his belly, from his neck. Well, that was just a beautiful shot of how his camouflage helps that to happen. Almost as good, just an amorphous mass there. You can hardly tell what is neck and chin. Welcome, go right ahead. Anne on Twitter has just asked me if, and welcome Anne, welcome to the show. Anne has just asked me if Kunyuma or Quarantine, his brother, will be any threat to his mom's new cub when she finally has a baby again. At 2.5 years, there's every expectation, or at him being 2.5 years old, there's every expectation that his mother is either pregnant at the moment or wanting to become pregnant. Her body will be telling her it's around about time again. And it's quite a difficult question, that, because marking territories, they're still within their mother or their natal territory, their mother's territory. They themselves will not be a threat to their mother's new cub. It's not uncommon for generations or successive generations of leopard to be within a similar area and live together. It depends on how successful their mothers are at breeding. But he won't necessarily show any aggression to the new cub. They don't live mutually exclusive from one another. I would go so far as to presume that leopard know exactly where each other are pretty much all of the time. And with their highly developed sense of smell and their mother being the dominant female around this area, she will be marking her territory, and they will be able to pick up on any signs that she's leaving behind. They'll definitely know when she has a new cub. So no, they don't pose any threat to her new babies. Unfortunately, the mortality rate amongst leopard and lion is quite high. Leopard, lion, and hyena, in actual fact. In some areas of Africa, up to 80% of all the cubs that are born die. In this particular area, it's not that high, although a lot of cubs don't make it through to adulthood for a variety of reasons. In this area, lion and hyena and leopard, they unfortunately kill one another's cubs quite regularly. In other areas, factors like starvation and temperature exposure, extremes in temperature will kill babies. Disease quite often takes young cubs. It's all Mother Nature's way of maintaining an equilibrium, a balance. It's a nice cool day. He's not going to have too much problems dealing with the heat of the day, and he's going to go through bouts of eating, resting, eating, resting, eating. He may go down and have a drink of water. It is available. Vuyatela Dam is within sight of where we are right now. Come back and finish his meal off. You're welcome. Mel in California has just asked or remarked on the fact that when Kunyuma came down the tree, he used his tail. And is this common? And the answer to that question, Mel, is absolutely. Leopard tails are about 2/3 the length of their body. They're round, they're quite weighty, and is used as a counterbalance. When he's running through the bush, they swing their tails around quite widely, and it helps them maneuver in sharp jinks and turns to follow their prey. And B, when they're balancing in trees, it's almost like an acrobatic pole. It helps them to counteract their movements in the trees. So it is a common thing for leopard to use. It's very similar to how most animals use their tail. Leopard, it's just accentuated. Taken one further is their cousins, the cheetah, who have a round tail that is weighted at one end. And they also use their tail to great effect while they're maneuvering at speed. Now, a weighted tail wouldn't help a leopard because it would just be cumbersome in their particular habitat. But a round, cylindrical, heavy tail, it's quite heavy at the base, quite wide. We're looking at probably this wide at the base and that round, which is significant, tapering to about that wide at the end. It is covered in fur. Most of it is actually just bone. His spine is extended into his tail and covered by flesh, and then hair, skin and fur after that. And is a great indication of their mood as well. Not only does it help them balance and maneuver at speed when they're running around and climbing in trees, but it's also, when you bump into them, a good way of judging their mood. They flick and dart their tails around. he's having a snooze. There's a fairly good chance that we're going to be able to find him here again in a bit. I think what we're going to do is let's carry on with this morning's game drive. Let's see if we can go and pick up anything else. And we'll come back if we are lucky enough to still find him over here, if we don't find anything else. So VM and I are going to be reversing out of the sighting, giving some other guides a chance to view him, giving him a chance to rest without us making a big noise around him, and we'll probably come back to him a bit later. For now, let's carry on with the game drive. Goodbye, boy. Once again, as I'm reversing out of the sighting, I'm just watching him, letting him tell us how relaxed he is. I reversed out of this particular area I was in with him without him even so much as looking at us. So he's a very relaxed cat at the moment, which is good. And it's one of the ways that out here we maintain our relationships, our good relationships with these animals. We don't like to bother them, if at all possible. Some animals can develop bad habits, chasing vehicles, chasing people. They're by no means domesticated. This is a completely wild area and has been a completely wild area forever. But because we all live together, we all respect one another. Stations, I'm leaving the sighting of the one my daughter Ingwe at the base of the marula tree. Static, no one in the sighting, it's open lock. So look what we found within sight of the kill. You can see the kill in the tree actually in the top right hand corner. Lying here in the sand is a hyena. So this hyena is being quite sneaky in that he's lying within earshot of this leopard, but not within sight. Now, what this hyena is doing is just lying here, listening to hear if Kunyuma makes the mistake of dropping his kill out of the tree, and he will then run up and snatch it. So this is a spotted hyena. They very, very often tail leopard and snatch their kills. They're just big bullies, or they can be big bullies at least anyway. They weigh more than what leopard do generally, and it's quite easy for them to snatch kills. Might be the reason that Kunyuma enjoys treeing his kills as much as what he does. It very quickly takes the kill out of reach of hyena. They can't climb trees, they don't have retractable claws. And you'll notice that this hyena is lying in a depression, a sand depression. It's nice and cool. Gives him a bit of a raised area to act as a pillow. Welcome. So this hyena will be part of a clan, and that clan will live in this particular area. They have there's home ranges and there are territories. Now the difference between a home range and a territory is home range is the area that an animal will walk in or live in and be seen in, and a territory is the area an animal will defend. Now, hyena live in huge territories and home ranges. Because there's so many of them, usually in a clan, they can defend a much larger area. Now, this hyena can afford to lie up and tail this leopard because it's just an easy meal if Kunyuma does make a mistake and he's not using any energy at the moment to run around catching his own food. So for them, or for him at least, it works out quite well. Now, coming back to hyena and their territories, it's not uncommon for hyena, as we were mentioning earlier this morning, on this particular reserve, it's not uncommon to find hyena track on almost every road and fresh sign of them on almost every road on the reserve in the mornings. They can walk anywhere up to 30 kilometers in an evening and have been known to make foraging journeys of up to 400 kilometers away from den sites on their foraging, on their forays. Territory size and home ranges vary with food depending on where hyena are found. In the drier parts of the country where game is scarce, territories are massive. And by massive, I'm saying around 2,000 square kilometers. Whereas here in the Kruger National Park, where the density of prey is around about 10 animals per hectare, you have territory and home ranges roughly 500 square kilometers. So 500 square kilometers is very close on about 300 square miles, all for it. This particular clan of hyena, it's a massive area. I think we're going to leave her or him to lie up in the sand. We're going to make a loop through the reserve and see what else we can find, and possibly come back and have a look at this a little bit later if we don't find too much else around today.